Hey, what's going on? It's Jamie Mack here for MidMoToday.com. Today we're talking with Josh Abbott from the Josh Abbott Band, who's going to be at the Blue Note in Columbia coming up this Thursday night. Now, Josh, you guys have been in town several times now. What's your feel for the Blue Note in mid-Missouri?
Well, I think it's the same as a lot of other Midwest college towns, like Lawrence and Manhattan. It's just a cool little room where a lot of college kids will come out and watch us, and hopefully we'll get some other people out there, too.
Now, Josh, you don't mention Columbia and Lawrence, Kansas in the same breath, dude.
I know that's a rookie mistake, but you know what I mean. It's like when we go to Fayetteville or any of those college towns north of Texas, it seems like, we play those really cool rooms where people come out and just enjoy listening to music. Sometimes you'll see people dancing out in the background, but a lot of times just people are just there just drinking beer, enjoying themselves.
Now, Texas country kind of gets lumped into the term red dirt country. How would you describe red dirt to people who have never heard that term before?
Well, I think there's a big difference, to be honest, but that's where I also think it starts getting complicated. At the end of the day, it's just country music. It's all sorts of other people that, have a tendency to put labels on what is and what isn't country and what's this and that. Red dirt to me seems more along the lines of the rock style of the Texas country genre, so probably more along your lines of Mickey and the Motor Cars, Reckless, Kelly, Turnpike Troubadours, and those kind of guys. Whereas Texas country, what we play is probably more along the lines of like the Aaron Watsons and Kyle Parks, people who actually sing about Texas. But at the end of the day, we just feel like it's good country music. We write our own stuff, we produce our stuff, we record our own stuff, and so, what you're getting from us is just an authentic product, and we're proud of it.
Now, your band doesn't have a record deal per se right now. Would that be something you'd consider if the right one came along?
Well, actually, we signed this last deal as a distribution deal with Warner and Atlantic Records. Actually, we signed with Atlantic, and they decided to partner with Warner, and they are going to release our next record for us. So it's something that we avoided for a while, but it just got to a point where we decided that we were putting out songs that we felt like were really good quality songs, and they weren't climbing up the charts nationally because we didn't have the name behind us. And as lame as that is, and as ridiculous as it is, that's just how the system works. And sometimes you can't beat the system, so we have assurances from them that we don't really have to change anything. We're just going to continue to make the kind of CDs and albums that we make, and the only difference is now the person calling the radio stations will be from a record label instead of from like an independent person like we employ.
Now, I have a feeling one of those songs you're referring to, Oh Tonight, which featured Casey Musgraves. How did that kind of collaboration all come together?
Well, that was just a really cool kind of vibey story. I wrote that song with this girl in college, and I didn't record it on the first album we did because I didn't think it fit, and the second album we did, we decided to put it on there, and I had met Casey Musgraves a couple years before that, and so I called her and said, I think your voice would be perfect for this, and of course at the time, we're talking about, that album came out in 2010, so we probably recorded that in 2009. So this is way before Casey Musgraves was, the person that everyone knows her as today. And we were just friends, and so she was willing to come along and sing not only the duet, but she did harmonies for that album as well as our current album. And she's just a good friend to us, and we're very proud of the success that she's found over the last year. And I told her a while back it won't be long before we're opening up for her, and she laughed, but I was dead serious.
This is kind of a biased interview because I'm a huge fan. Some of my favorites are I Guess It's Time, Electric Skies, She's Like Texas. And, with all your songs, how do you guys decide what song makes the playlist for a specific night?
Well, typically we try to keep it more upbeat. So songs like I Guess It's Time generally don't find themselves in our set list. But now that I know the radio guy wants to hear it, I'm probably going to have to play it. We know that people come out to our shows to have a good time, to drink some beer and dance. I just think that you have to, whatever the audience is going to be in the venue, you just have to adapt for that. We're still playing our songs, but the order in which you play them and which ones you actually play, I think you should adapt to your audience. And so, especially for the Blue Note, we're going to try and keep it upbeat. We're going to try and keep a real fun atmosphere vibe going, and then every now we'll sneak in a real pretty slow acoustic song.
Josh, who are some of your musical inspirations growing up?
Definitely when I got to college and was exposed to Pat Green, and that really changed things for me. Because up to that point, I was just your typical high school kid, coming into college, and all I knew about country music was what was on the radio. And my eyes got open to Pat Green and Roger Krager and Corey Morrow, and I was just like, wow, this stuff's great. And of course, over the years, Randy Rogers and Wade Bowen definitely had an influence on me in terms of not just writing about Texas, Texas, but writing these, really pretty love songs and these hooky relationship songs. And so I feel like I've kind of taken elements from all those guys, and we've tried to combine that into what is our band, and I think it's working, so we'll just keep doing what we're doing.
So is it Pat Green or is it Pat Green?
We'll just say Pat Green.
All right, dude. So I follow you on Twitter, which is at Josh Abbott Band, and I notice from time to time you don't hold back. So I imagine if you have a PR person, there's times that you maybe give them a panic attack. Do you ever maybe worry about what you're tweeting and if it might maybe offend anybody?
No, I don't really care about that. I mean, I think too many people are worried about offending people. I think there's definitely a line you don't cross in terms of being derogatory. You don't have to go to extreme levels. I'm not going to offend people by putting something out there that's just awful, but if I want to put a political opinion or a sports opinion or just my general opinion on something, I mean, the great part about that is two things. First of all, it's my account. Secondly, you don't have to follow it if you don't want to. So, I don't really worry about that. I think people who tend to play it safe, I don't think they're being themselves, and so that's just not the approach I've ever wanted to take.
Your last album came out early 2012. What's in the works for the future?
We plan on recording the next album in January. We've just been writing, trying to figure out what the theme of the next record is. I think one thing people can see in our last two records especially is that there was a theme involved. It wasn't just a collection of 10 or 11 songs we thought were good, because that's not a record. That's a CD of 10 songs, and I think there's a difference between that and an album. So really we have to figure out what theme the next album is going to be, and once we figure that out, then we'll put the appropriate 11, 12, 13 songs on there, and just give it our best in the studio and see if we can recreate that kind of magic that we've been able to have on the last couple albums, where it's like beautifully flawed, right? It's not like the craziest, best recordings you've ever heard, and it's not like maybe it's not 100% unflawed writing. I think that part of the charm in our band has been some of those learning curves and flaws that we've had over the years. And I don't know, I just think there's something real about what we do as well as some other bands out there, and that's what makes people flock to them.
I think I may have just figured out your theme for the next album. You ready?
Yes.
Superheroes.
Speaking of superheroes, Ben Affleck's the next Batman. I don't know how I feel about that.
No, I saw on the official Batman page earlier that Batman has officially decided for the first time ever that he will be rooting for Superman. That Batman versus Superman movie.
It's like Ben Affleck. Didn't we already see him as like Daredevil or Flash or somebody, and it was awful? Come on.
All right, so on that, in a celebrity cage death match, like the ones they used back on MTV back in the day.
That was a great show.
Who would win the battle, Batman or Superman?
Superman, because he has no flaws, right? Kryptonite. So unless Batman's got kryptonite in his bat belt, I think he's probably in trouble.
I was going to say, I think he has a stockpile of that down in the Batcave.
Yeah, there you go.
Josh, one last question. Where can people find out more about you guys and what you're doing?
Oh, I could say JoshAbbottBand.com, and I could give you our Twitter and Facebook and Instagram and all this. There's just tons of stuff out there. But the easiest way, Google our name, Josh Abbott Band. I'm sure it'll point you in the right direction.
Well, Josh, thank you for your time today, and look forward to seeing you guys Thursday night at the Blue Note.
Well, thanks for being such a good interview. I don't think people up there appreciate how good of a DJ you are and how good of a question asker you are, because a lot of times I do these interviews, and sometimes it can be brutal, but this has been a fun one, and I really appreciate it.
All right, man. Thanks a lot, and we'll see you Thursday night.
All right, take care.